the devil? How many know he's here tonight? How many know what he come to do? I don't hear nothing. What does he come to do? Kill, steal, and destroy. But what did Jesus say I come to do? And give you what? Give you more abundantly. How many come for that laugh tonight? Well, hopefully I'll say something, give you some laugh tonight. We're going to go a little bit different tonight. God's leading me a different direction tonight.
Praise Him.
And I feel led to bring forth the message first that God has given me. And then we're going to sing and shout on out here tonight. And we're going to be back tomorrow morning for Father's Day.
That's His name.
And we have some gifts for the fathers. And we're going to have a good time tomorrow on Father's Day. And hopefully all the fathers will show up tomorrow morning and be here, because we always give a gift to the mothers on Mother's Day and the fathers on Father's Day. And hopefully I'll finish the message God gave me tonight, but if I don't, I'll probably go into it on Father's Day for tomorrow. Now, how many glad to be in God's house tonight? How many still feel God is in control? Even though you look out and see the world and see all the crime and the murdering and the stealing, killing and destroying of people's lives and property, but yet God, He still is in control. Somebody says, how can that be? And God is allowing all this. God allows what He will. God does what He wants. And who are you or I to tell God what to do? God has got a master plan set that we don't even comprehend yet. And God has allowed the devil to do what he's doing now. But at the end time, the devil is going to be brought in check. And the devil, he's going to be put in his place. And everyone that follows him. So I thank God for righteousness, because righteousness will exalt a nation. How many believe that? Amen. But wickedness always destroy a people. And look around today, the wickedness in the government, the wickedness in the police department, the wickedness in the society. Everywhere you look, there's wickedness going on. There's corruption going on everywhere. But God sees it, God knows all about it, and God is getting ready to bring it down, and He's getting ready to lift up another government that's going to rule with a rod of iron, going to have peace, going to have justice, going to have love, going to have everything that we ever dreamed of in this new land that God is going to set up. And guess who's going to be in charge? Jesus. Are y'all here tonight? Shout out, amen. That's what I preach. Well, I guess you are too. And if the shoe fit, put it on and walk on out with it. But I'm not a compromising preacher. I'm not a tickling ear preacher. I'm a gospel preacher. And a lot of people say, you ain't preaching the gospel no more. You're preaching too much of that black history stuff. Well, that's the gospel. That's our history. And whether you know it or not, you relate to the Bible. If you read your Bible, the Bible's always talking about Ethiopia, about Israel. Guess where Egypt and Ethiopia is? It's in Africa. And here the scripture talking about a place, a geographical area called Africa, and yet we ain't nowhere in it. They have changed the names, they have changed locations, but yet they'll say Africa or Ethiopia, but they don't recognize that Egypt is in Africa. It's still in Africa. It's always been in Africa. Ethiopia is in Africa. And when the angel spoke to Joseph to carry Jesus into Egypt and hide it, went to Africa and could be hid among those folk. Y'all ain't listening to me. So he went to Africa. And what I want to get over to you tonight is some truths about us and who we are, where we came from, and where we can go. But we got some hang-ups, brothers and sisters. And number one hang-up is sin. Yes, it is. I said sin. Sin is open rebellion against God. Sin is disobeying the commandments and laws and statutes that God has set up.
Well.
Sin is doing what you want to do, when you want to do it. I go where I want to go. I say what I want to say. I'll be with who I want to be with. No, you won't. If you're walking according to God's statute, His laws and commandments, you're going to do what God tells you to do, not what you want to do. That's what's wrong with us today. We're too big sinners today, doing our own thing instead of doing what God tells us to do. And that's why we're in the shape and trouble we're in tonight. God has given me a message, and I hope this will be the continuation or the end of it on human sexuality. Oh, here he goes again.
All right.
Well, you need to know, brother. You need to know, sister. Because when you leave this church, you're going out there in a real world where there's real problems, where people are dying, people are being killed every day. I went to Hardeman's Thursday night after choir practice and to get some chicken, and I was in there, and a man come in there and said, hey, somebody been stabbed next door. And we went over there and saw, and here's a young man, a youth, laying on the ground on his face in his blood, stabbed to death. Are you listening to me? See, crime is everywhere. I mean, death is everywhere. And if you're not in God, it's going to come to your door one day and go knock. And if you ain't ready, it's going to take you back with it. Death will not go back empty-handed. And if you're living a wishy-washy life, in and out, up and down, and you have made up your mind to serve God, and God has given you a choice to choose Him, and if you choose Him, you choose life, or choose the devil, and you choose death. But a lot of us choose death over life because we want to do what we want to do. I want to get down, brother. I want to party hardy.
Watch it now.
There ain't going to be no parties in hell. You ain't going to party hardy in hell. You're going to wish today you had listened to the preacher or listened to the man of God God has raised up to tell you about your sin and bring you in check and let you know you got to straighten up and fly right, or you're going to hell. Now, the Bible said we all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. I'm not here to point a finger at anyone. I'm just here to let you know what sin will do if we don't bring it under check. And if we don't crucify this old flesh and bring it day, 7 days a week, 366 days out of the year.
Well, now watch it.
Ain't but 365, I know. But you got to be willing to go the extra day. If it takes it. Or you listen to it. Bring it under control. Keep your body under control. Bring it under subjection daily. Crucify this old flesh. And when the enemy, the tempter comes, or the enticer, he looks at you as an enticee.
Well.
And he comes to entice you and lure you away with lust, jealousy, hate, envy, strife, whatever it takes to lure you away. And if you're loose and fancy free and doing your thing out of God's will, you're going to be just like a bull with a ring in your nose. You're going to be led away every time. You're going to melt in the devil's paw. And he's going to use you until he can't use you no more. And then he's going to kill you.
Well, now.
And then after he kill you, and then here you're standing at the judgment, the devil going to laugh and say, hey, you sucker. Why don't you listen to me? How come you listen to Brother Davis? Now you're standing at judgment, and now your sins will be brought in check. What you going to do now? You better think about these things, because the Bible says it's appointed unto man once to die. And after death comes the judgment. We're all judgment bound. And either you're going one place or another. You ain't going to. You can't serve two. Yes, there are two gods. God and the devil. Choose this day. Now I want to bring to mind tonight, in the book of 2 Samuel, the 11th chapter. Are y'all here tonight? We're talking about human sexuality. In 2 Samuel, the 11th chapter and the first verse. I got a lot of time tonight, hopefully.
Watch it now.
I'm not going to detain you too long because we're going to shout on out of here. That's if you feel like shouting after I get through with you.
Now watch it.
In 2 Samuel, the 11th chapter and the first verse, and it reads like this. And it came to pass, after the year was expired, at the time when the kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servant with him and all Israel. And they destroyed the children of Ammon. And besieged Rabbah, but David tarried still at Jerusalem.
Well,
And it came to pass in eventide that David rose from off his bed and walked up on the roof of the king's house.
yeah.
And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself.
Now look here, look here.
And the woman was very beautiful
She wasn't ugly.
to look upon. She must have been beautiful because they mentioned it here in the scripture.
Say it.
She was beautiful to David. And David should have been out on the battlefield, but he was here on the king's porch, a roof, and he was watching this woman that was naked washing herself. And she was very, it didn't say beautiful, it said very beautiful to look upon. And David sent and inquired. What did he say?
Come on.
David sent and inquired after the woman. And one said, is not this Bathsheba,
Yeah.
the daughter of Elam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? Now the woman's married now. And David sent messengers and took her. He didn't ask. He took her. But why you preaching this, Reverend? I'm trying to show you something. There's a lot of preachers have set a standard, but they're not living the standard that they set.
Yes.
Now, I'm not trying to show you the bad side of David. I'm trying to show you what will happen when you get out of God and you let the enemy come and attack you and get you to lay down in sin, which you know is not right if you ain't married to that person you laying down with. Are you listening to me? David sent messages and he took her. I said he took her. And she came in unto him and he laid with her. And they didn't nap either. For she was purified from her uncleanness and she returned unto her house.
Right.
And guess how she returned?
Well,
And the woman conceived and sent and told David and said, I am with child. I am with child. The woman told David this. Now the woman was married and David was married. Oh, I didn't know David was married. Yes, sir. Did you not know when God brought Saul down because Saul disobeyed the commandments of God and he gave the kingdom to David, his neighbor, and Saul got jealous and envy of David. And not only that, God gave David Saul's wife.
well, now.
Are you listening to me? So David was married and he had another woman outside his wife. Are you listening to me? Shout out your amen. Don't get too quiet on me. I'm carrying you somewhere.
Well,
But the woman, she conceived and she sent and told David, I am with child. And David sent to Joab saying, send me Uriah the Hittite. And Joab sent Uriah to David. And when Uriah was coming to him, David demanded of him, see, prosper. David knew what he was doing. He was setting a trap for this brother. And he desired this brother's wife. But he wanted to cover up his tracks because he had did something wrong and he was trying to cover up his sin. And he that covered his sin, what the Bible said, shall not prosper. So if you're covered up and you got skeletons in the closet and you're doing things undercover that you think nobody else sees, pretty soon God's going to bring it to the light and everybody's going to see it. Huh? God brought it out so everybody knew about David's sin. So everything done in the dark going to be brought to the light. Everything whispered in secret in the closet going to be shouted abroad on the housetop, brothers and sisters. So always remember that. Whatever you whisper in somebody else, the devil's there listening. I said the devil's there listening. And he going to make sure it be published. And then are you going to be able to back up what you said?
Well,
now he said, David said to Uriah, go down to thy house and wash thy feet. And Uriah departed of the king's house. And there followed him a mess of meat from the king. Now why did the king give him all that meat?
yeah. A mess of meat.
Y'all ain't listening to me? When someone is guilty, he gonna give a gift. And sometimes the one that's getting the gift don't know why. Soldiers in the army fighting a battle with David, and here he gonna give me a bunch of meat and the rest of them out there in tents, you know, and he gonna give them that. Something going on. But he didn't have enough wits to figure it out. Huh? But Uriah slept at the door of a king's house with all the servants of his lord and went not down to his house. And when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down to his house, and David said unto Uriah, come thou now not from thy journey, and why then thou did not go down unto thy house? And Uriah said unto David, the ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open field. Shall I then go into my house and eat and drink and lie with my wife as I live it and as I so live it? I will not do this thing. Uh-oh. The man just signed his death warrant. In other words, what David wanted him to do is go and lay with his wife, so when the news came that she was pregnant, that he would think it was his. Trying to cover his tracks. But the man slept at the king's door and did not go home. David tried everything to try to get the man to go home, but the man would not go home. And David said to Uriah, tarry here today also and tomorrow, and I will let thee depart. So Uriah go in Jerusalem that day and tomorrow, and when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. I said he made him drunk now. And at evening, he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his Lord and went not down to his house. And usually when a man get high or drunk, he gonna go home and get in his own bed. Y'all ain't listening to me. But the man did not go home. He went to the tent where the servants were, and he lay with them in the bed. Are you listening to me? And it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hand of Uzziah, a death letter. Are you listening to me? And wrote in the letter saying, set ye Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle.
Look here now.
And retire ye from him that he may be smitten and die. Look at here. Not only the man committed adultery, but he got an evil demon of murder.
Well,
he got a murder spirit. I'm talking about David, a man after God's own heart, y'all. He took the man's wife, laid with her, had a child by her, and now he's going to kill the woman's husband.
well, now look here.
So he won't have nothing to hinder him from getting her. Are you listening to me? And sent a letter by Uzziah to give to Joab, to put him on the front line, the hottest battle you can find, that he may be smitten and die. Does this sound like David? It sounded like a spirit got hold to him. He wasn't in God doing that, because God don't ordain stuff like that. Are you listening to me? But God, in the end, gonna get the glory out of it. God can take a tragedy and turn it into a blessing. Are you listening to me? And you know the story, how that they put him on the front line and he died in battle. And then David took this man's wife. Took this man's wife. That's sad. And what David did, he was worthy of death, to be stoned to death, because the Masonic law said if any man commit adultery, and especially murder, you should be killed in the same manner. Are you listening to me? But you know what? God had mercy upon David. God spared David. God said, look here, you have sinned. You have transgressed against the laws of God. He said, I'm not going to kill you, but you have allowed my name to be talked about and walked upon. You have brought a reproach upon God by letting this thing happen. Are you listening to me? And God told David, said, the son that's in her womb, it shall surely die. Told David, said, you ain't going to die, but this child going to die. Let you know I mean business, and I don't like what you did. Are you listening to me? God could have killed him, but God spared his life. And the same Bathsheba had another child by David, and his name was Solomon. And you know about Solomon, he was a great man. Are you listening to me? Now, don't look down on David now. We all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Huh? Now, whenever one who bears a standard, carries the standard, and falters, the wicked one or the evildoers rejoices. Isn't that right? Now, David's enemy, they probably rejoiced to hear the news that David had seen. And they rejoiced over it, because he said, oh, thank God that he stumbled. Oh, they love when Brother David stumbled. Oh, they sitting around like, boy, yeah, I know he wasn't a man of God. I knew he was a false prophet in the first place. Oh, they just waiting for me to stumble, trying to find any little fault in me. Said, because now that he stumbled, I can throw away the veil of the standard. Praise him. But I also can throw away the standard also. So there's nothing in my mind anymore make me feel guilty. I can do as much evil as I want to do, because I done found wrong in the preacher, the bearer of the standard.
Come on.
Are you listening to me? This is why, brother, people look for wrong in preachers. I'm
do it, they all do it.
a preacher myself. I'm not running down preachers, but everybody's looking for wrong in preachers today.
That's right.
And preachers are giving them a lot to look for. They just gave a preacher 50 years for molesting children in his own church.
Right.
Now, I believe the preacher was set up. And if he was black, I know he was set up. Are you listening to me? I don't care what he taught. He's still my brother, and I still feel for my brother to be locked up behind a prison. He's a preacher. And a lot of times when people don't agree with what you're teaching and preaching, they'll set you up. Are you listening to me? I've been knowing this man for over 20 years. Gave a man 50 years. Hard as this man preached, I don't believe he molests those little young girls in the church. Are you listening to me?
Somebody, man.
But see, this is just another reproach upon God and God's people and God's preachers. Are you listening to me? It wasn't enough Jimmy Swag and Tammy Baker. But see, God has put a lot of them down that have sinned. There's a lot of them that have not sinned, and they're getting caught in this process of evil and bringing people down just because they don't like it.
Yeah, right.
Are you listening to me?
Don't agree with it. Come on.
Now, I'm not condemning preachers because I'm a preacher myself. But he who preach the standard are being judged by the very standard that they preach. And we must understand that. And if you don't intend to live by the standard, then don't preach the standard. You hear that, preachers? If you ain't going to live by the standard, don't you preach it. Leave it alone. And if we preach the standard and are weak in living up to the standard, then you must understand that our preaching of the standard is condemned by the wicked. Now, as I thought about this, I said people show joy because they hate anybody that lives up to standard. Isn't that right? See, people don't like when you living right and they can't point the finger at you and find no evil in you. They don't like that. And anyone that lives up to the standard and stumbles, they will mark him. Talk about it.
Yes.
But they talk about that person, not because they know anything really about it, but they are so happy to find somebody that stumbled, so I don't have to try to walk upright. But I'm very sorry, my brother and my sister. Whether Jim Baker stumbles, whether Jim Falwell stumbles, whether Jimmy Swagger stumbles, whether Billy Graham stumbles, whether Louis Farrakhan, once the standard is recited to us, we must live by that standard. Are you listening to me? Not because of Jim Baker, not because of Jimmy Swagger, not because of Jerry Falwell, not because of Oral Roberts, we live the standard, but because the standard is right. And what is the standard? Living what you preach about.
All right now.
Which is righteousness.
Watch it.
Living the standard. Now let us understand something about the nature of a sexual crime. David committed from this man, and he committed a sexual crime with her and had a child in the process, and then killed her husband. No man or woman is considered righteous in this world unless he can get control of his sexual appetite. Huh? Now some of you preachers, you know, I'm a man of God. I'm a child of the king. Brother, you ain't got really lust. You got a wife and desire a girlfriend. This ain't right. You calling yourself a preacher, but you can't stop lusting.
All right now.
And lust gonna lead into something else. Are you listening to me? But you can't be considered righteous unless you can get control of your sexual appetite. And if you notice, people can lie. And I'm talking about so-called church folk or righteous people. Preachers may go in the back and take a nip. And a lot of nipping is going on in the church. Huh? Preachers can go in the back and maybe snort a little. And we may forgive it. Because many in the congregation are doing the same thing.
So, yeah. I got something.
But when it comes down to the reverend or the minister or preacher being loose in his sexual conduct, then this makes the people say, here it is not an example of righteousness. Oh, but it's all right to take a little dope or whiskey or wine. But when it comes to a sexual conduct, oh, he's not really an example of righteousness. Listen at the people.
What's the difference?
And this is why we have men like those in the FBI, like J. Edgar Hoover, the big fat homosexual, and others who spy on the sexual life of anybody in public life, because this is the means by which strong men and women are brought down. Huh? And the Bible said, by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread. And that puts a heavy weight on a man. That puts a heavy weight on a woman. But the heaviest weight is on the man. That if we do not control this urge, this appetite, this wonderful force that God has given us for sexual expression, then this lack of control in this area will become our downfall, preachers. Now, let's see. Why is that? Are y'all with me tonight? Yes. Now, God gave us sex. Now, I know they've changed the name because I don't think God called it sex in the beginning. You know what I believe God called it? Nature. I don't think it was called sex. But God gave us sex, isn't that right?
Oh, it's quiet now.
Yes, it is.
Man, I don't know what you're preaching now.
You ain't saying nothing.
Yeah,
now.
I'm giving you something, brothers and sisters, that when you leave here, you can go out there and face your enemies and look here. I heard what Brother David said. I'm not going to give in to this mess you bringing my way. Say, hey, I'm going to live right. I'm going to walk up right because people watching me. And see, if I stumble, then somebody else going to stumble and fall. And I don't want nobody stumbling because I couldn't stand up right. Huh? I'm giving you something concrete. I'm not hard as you put my finger. You a sinner. Why don't you come on, repent, brother? The ones that preaching the louder like that are the ones that are dipping snuff, sniffing cocaine, running around and doing all kind of evil. Are you listening to me? But they're covered up with a holler. They're covered up, talking about your sin. What did Jimmy Swagger do? Oh, you sinners. And here all the time he meeting the woman in the motel after leaving the service. Y'all ain't listening to me. Not talking about the men, not running down because we all have sinned and we have come short of the glory of God. Are you listening to me?
Well, now.
But you need to understand this. God gave us sex. And sex is not something that just popped up either. It's the gift of God. I said it's the gift of God.
Well.
Then whatever God gives us, there's a way to use it, and there's a way to abuse it. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Now God creates the atom. We can make mischief with it. God creates the truth, or He is the truth, but we can take the Bible and other books and make mischief with it. In fact, people have used the very word of God to make mischief and put people against people, isn't it right? Just by using the word of God, and have destroyed ministries by just using the word of God. Now, sex is given to us for a wonderful purpose, but it can be abused and used for mischief purposes. Now, why did God give us this? This thing that is so out of control. You listen carefully. This thing, sex, that God gave us is so out of control. David, he was out of control. And the man didn't come to his senses until after he had killed the man and took the man's wife, and the child was born and God killed it, and then he repented. And then he got back in control. Are you listening to me? A lot of us are out of control. I don't care whether you're 100 years old. You ain't learned discipline, you out of control. Huh? Now, what is it about sex? And why did God give it to us? This thing that is out of control in the world today, that we do not have to worry about birth control. Well, there's too many people out of control to worry about birth control. Because birth control, it won't work today. Are you listening to me? Because there's too many people out of control, and it just won't work. And one group say, I'll control it with the pill. Another group say, I'll control it, with this or that. And there's an age group coming in fertility into sexual power at age 8 and 9, y'all. And they are unaware of the pill. They are unaware of the condom. They are unaware of what the world is trying to get the youth to see. And before they can get the knowledge, they are already into sexual discovery and pregnant. Isn't that right? So what about this power? What is this sex that determines whether we are right with God or down with Satan? What is it about this powerful urge in human nature? Where did it come from, and why did God give it to us? Sex. Now God gave it to us and then not give us the means to bring it under control, or if he brought us the means to bring it under control, evidently we have not been shown those means or taught those means, because most of us are out of control sexually. Whether we are 10 years old or 110, we go from the cradle to the grave out of control. And the only way we can get any kind of control is when God takes it from us totally. But still, these old folk, they can't do nothing anymore, are found piddling around with young children, abusing them, and they still haven't learned control from the cradle to the grave. And that's a devilish way to live when you were made by God to master it all. Are you listening to me? Now, the woman was taken right out of the side of the man, the Bible says. Isn't that right? God taking a rib out of man and made a woman. And then the Quran says you were created from a single being, from a single essence. And the very nature of a woman is to give peace and quiet to the mind of the man. And she's created as a counselor for him. Now, I know some of you women don't like that, you know, being taken out of the rib of a man, but that's what God did. Are you listening to me? Now, you were created for the man. I said you were created for the man, and you were created for a purpose. And whether you like it or not, God created you for the man. Y'all getting quiet? And some of you perspiring. Is the air conditioner? You can't blush. You're too dark. But God created you for the man. Take it or leave it alone. You can't be happy without a man. I'll say it again. You can't be happy without a man. Even if you are lesbian, even under all that, you're still looking for a man. Now, of course, you may not be happy with your man either. And that's a fact of life today. But that does not mean you are not created for him. What do you mean created for him? I just don't like those words or that language. Well, I don't know how else I can say it, dear sister. If you notice, I don't care what you do in the professional field. Your greatest joy comes when you can make a man happy with you. That man can do for you what nature and the God of nature put in a man to do for you. And what did God put in a man to do for you? Oh, y'all get that like I'm telling you the truth. Somebody said, I didn't believe you ought to be preaching like this. Well, look at here. You go all through the Bible, you find things in here. God is telling a man how not to touch a woman or how to touch a woman. Are you listening to me? God tells you when to bathe and when. Are you listening to me? And if you in your monthly, he said, don't even come around the camp and say everything she touches is unclean. Everywhere she says is unclean. Are you listening to me? God gave rules and regulations for everything concerning our sexual lives. Take it or leave it. It's there, brother and sister. And don't condemn me. You read over there in Solomon, boy, that raise your hair. Solomon's song, I mean, it raise your hair if you don't know the scripture and know what he's really talking about. Because when I first read it, I said, hey, what's going on here? What are you talking about? But it's a spiritual meaning. Huh? Now, what did God put in a man to do for a woman? And what did God put in a woman to do for a man? You have a demand from your very nature on one another. You have rights over the man, and the man got rights over you. And that ain't something you demand with your lips. This is the man coming up out of your nature. And if that is not satisfied, you are an unhappy woman. You are an unhappy man. And I submit to you today that the black man is an unhappy man and the black woman is an unhappy woman. Because none of us are satisfying the demand that nature put upon both of us to make each other happy. Are y'all all right? Got a few more minutes. Now look, if God created the world and everything in it, and he creates a man and a woman, and if I had been in God's place, I would say I had a difficult time creating all of that. And I need to take a little rest and take it easy for a while. Because the Bible says in Genesis 2:2, and on the seventh day God ended his work which he had made and rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. Isn't that right? Now look, at all this wonder which we call universe, God created it all. Now that was a heavy work that God did when he created the universe and everything in it. And you look at it, and if God said some mythical God, and God just, said abracadabra, and everything came in existence. Because when God said be, and it is, be only means he wills it into an existence, and then he works his will, his plan, he organizes, he orchestrates the power to bring about what he wills. And this is intensely difficult. So he says, after difficulties comes ease. Are y'all here tonight? Now, after man has worked and provided those things needed at home and given you some shopping money, women, of your own, and he does his duty towards you, you can't help yourself, right? You just want to make him comfortable. Oh, can I bring your house slippers? You want to comfort him. Can I rub your shoulders? Everything about you is comfort. It's ease. The problem, brother, is you are not worthy of ease. Ain't too many brothers here tonight. But those of you here tonight, I'm going to let you know, your problem is that you're not worthy of ease until you have faced the difficulty. Your problem is you want ease in the morning, ease in the evening, ease all through the day, ease all night long, and difficulty at no time. So you have become a burden to the woman. She's sick of you because all you can think about is sex. But you don't know how to work. You don't know how to build. You don't know how to secure. Therefore, you are unworthy of the ease that you demand day in and day out, morning in and morning out, night in and night out. And I'm telling you for your wife that she's sick of it. I see couples come to church and not sit together. I just, I wonder, do they sleep in twin beds? But here you want ease, but you're not willing to work. And you don't want no difficulty at no time. She's sick of you. And she's sick of being used as a thing. And then you justify it by the misuse of the Bible. You're supposed to be a child to me. Obey your husbands in all things, as is what you say. Oh, you mistreating that scripture, brother. You got to rightly divide the word of truth. Oh, you listen to me. Now, there's a teaching going around that says your woman is your tilth. And you may go in her when you like, as you like. And some men take that to mean that woman have nothing to say about the matter. And then he said, you there for me, girl. And anytime I said so, you better be there. I don't mean to bust your bubble. I do mean to give you some sense, brother. Saints, look. When God describes a woman as your till is that which is tilled. That which is cultivated. That which, when you get married, you are called her husband. Not her boyfriend. Not her main squeeze. You are her husband. And if you want to check the dictionary on what husband is, she is your till. Right. And in a single parent home, women, they take care of the children. They're the mother and they're the father. And it's difficult without a man. I said it's difficult without a man in the house. Right. Especially when you got boys and you want them to have an image of a strong man and the man's not there. The children gonna come up looking for a role model, and they might go out and find the wrong role model, which is the dope pusher or pimp or murderer or liar. And here you have problems on your hand with that son that you can't solve. But that's why the man is needed. The woman is needed because men are the maintainers of women. Now see, when the black man comes to the realization that a woman is supposed to be his queen and he's supposed to, praise her and lift her up, when he comes to the realization of this, then at that time, God's going to lift him up. But see, he misuses and abuses his wife and his woman now, and that's why he's in the condition he's in, and asks for respect. You ain't going to get no respect. You can't even respect your own wife. How you going to get respect from others? Are you listening to me? But men are the maintainers of women. A husband is one that keep up the earth or the vineyard that does not belong to him, or he does not own, but is in his hands. Now you don't own the woman. She belongs to God. Amen. She belongs to God now. But he gives her to you and you to her, so that you may serve the purpose of God, the will of God, in the way that you relate one to the other. Now listen carefully. Now, if she is your till, that means she is yours to cultivate the best that is in her. That is what a husband is supposed to do. He's a guide. So you that is what a husband is supposed to do or be, is a guide. You can't be a guide without no sense. As a man, it is incumbent upon you to be a man of knowledge, a man of wisdom. And you have no right even seeking a woman if you don't seek wisdom first. Got a lot of men ain't nothing but boys. Children. Scripture said when I was a child, I thought I was a child. I acted as a child. But when I become a man, I put away childish things. And here men are still buying cars. They're a little bit bigger, but they still buying cars and playing with them. Y'all ain't listening to me. Oh, this is my car out there rubbing on it. Oh, you listening to me? They played with cars when they were little young, they had all kind of color cars, different kind. And now they're grown, buying cars. Every time they turn around, buying a new car, shining on it. Can't take care of the family, trying to make them payments on the car. Oh, you listening to me? Now, I'm not saying all men are like that, but most of them. Now, I want you to listen good, black men. It is the nature of you that makes you seek a woman. But I said you don't deserve a woman without the wisdom and the knowledge necessary to maintain and keep her up. It is one thing to buy a house, and it's another thing to understand that all houses need maintenance. The best of houses need to be looked after. And when you maintain it and keep it up, its value increases. Isn't that right? In time, the value increases. And when you got a woman that God calls your tilth, if you do your duty by her, which her nature demands, she don't even recognize this. She doesn't necessarily want to rule you, man.
All right.
She really wants you to take your place. But since you don't know what your place is and wouldn't take it if you knew what it was, she just go ahead and rule until you wake up. So the Bible said children are the oppressors and the women rule over them. And the child that the book is talking about is the Caucasian, who's a Johnny-come-lately on the earth. He's a new man when you study the anthropological, historical nature of this thing. He's new, yet he's our oppressor. And women rule us because we refuse to get up and do what God wants us to do. And if you just do what God has commanded you to do, the woman will say, come on, man, take your place. Are you listening to me tonight? I'll help you. But when you don't have nothing in your mind, no vision, no goal, no idea of what you want, what you want to do? How we going to pay our rent? I don't know. But when you don't get a job? I don't know. You have no idea what you want for your wife or your children or your people. And how in the world can a woman help you do nothing? A woman wants a man to get up and take the lead. Now, how many women can agree with that? You like for a man to take lead, don't you? And be a man, you know, say, hey, look at this man here. He pays the bills and keep a roof over our head. And look here, he treats me nice and don't beat me, don't hit me, and talk to me mean. This man is a man. And he loves God. But how can your woman help you when you ain't got nothing in your head to do? She can't help you do nothing. And how can a do-nothing man be worthy of ease? And how can a do-nothing man be worthy of comfort or consolation? Y'all still here? Amen. I'll be through in a minute. Now the woman is your tilt. You may go in under her as you please. This is not saying that she doesn't have rights over herself, but when a man does his duty and lifts and cultivates and helps to develop the best that is in a woman, she cannot help herself. Now, if you secure her as you should, she will always be willing to please you. And that's the truth. Ain't that right, women? Yes. She's made after the nature of the universe itself. It cannot hold itself back from you if you have the key of how to extract from it its wealth. A woman has heaven in her for the man. In her is your heaven. She's your peace and your quiet of mind. She can make you feel good when the world is against you. She can encourage you to go out. And above all, she can absolutely recharge your battery. Make you ready, willing and able to go out and face difficulty and overcome it so you can be worthy of more ease. Watching your clock, ain't you?
I heard that you heard it again.
I'm trying to give you a conclusion. After difficulty comes, y'all ain't here. Now look, the man is a covering for the woman, and the woman is a covering for the man. To cover means to conceal, to hide, to screen, to shelter, to protect, to defend, or to keep from harm or injury by shielding. And when you got a good woman, she shields you from having to be exposed. Meaning that her very nature makes her to cover you. Are you listening? To protect you. To hide you from the misuse of your passion. And you hide her from the same so that in each other you are completely covered, protected, shielded. And this is why the marriage unit is so sacred. The family unit, meaning marriage at the root of it, is so sacred that adultery is punished by death in the Holy Word. If you read the Bible, when you were caught in adultery in the days of Moses, you were stoned to death. Isn't that right? They stoned you to death when you were caught in adultery. And what about homosexuality? You wouldn't even last. They'd kill you quick. Look what God did to Sodom and Gomorrah. He burned it up. Now, man wasn't even permitted, according to the law in the Old Testament, to put on a woman's clothing. Nor a woman to put on a man's clothing. I see some of these women looking like men. And they're exposed in areas that y'all ain't listening to me. That a man can't help but look. Your targets ain't on one thing because you got it exposed. Are you listening to me? And some get some of these pants and shorts just as tight as if somebody pulled them in there. And when they stop, they still moving 10 minutes after they stop. Y'all ain't listening to me. But we've gone away from the laws and commandments of God. And we need to get back. And we need to be a man and a woman needs to be a woman. And put a distinction between a man and a woman. To be clearly distinguishable. And it wasn't no unisex in those days. God killed the people in Sodom and Gomorrah for sodomy, for homosexuality. And this is an abomination in the sight of the Almighty God. Now, those of you that are listening to me now, I'm not here to lift up a standard to make you feel guilty. I'm here by the grace of God to lift up a standard so you can see what God required. Not what Brother David required, but what God required. Then each of us have to strive to measure up to the standard or suffer the consequence of rejection of it. Now, this powerful urge for sex, as it arises in us as young men and women, there must be a parental care and watching. Because children, young people, that this power and this urge is developing in, do not have control of that urge. And this is why parental attention is necessary, particularly when our children reach the age of puberty. Age 14 for boys and age 12 for girls. But in this system, both parents have to work. Man is not making enough money to take care of his family, so both have to get out and work to take care of the family. So the woman, she's out there in the workplace, she's working, doing her thing. And some houses, there's a single parent home, which over 50% of black homes, the head of the house is a woman. And if she's working or doing something that takes her out of the house, who is watching her children? Who are watching the teenagers? When they are coming into the power of the urge that God has put in them for sexual expression. God made us unalike now. And in this unalike, there is an attraction. And at a certain age, we're just attracted to each other. Right? I can tell just sure when, you know, boys start liking girls because he can put away his cars. He don't bring his cars to church no more. And then he starts sitting with a little girl. Oh, you listen to him. And they start holding hands. He found out he got something. And he's feeling funny, getting pimples all over his face. Getting sweaty hands when he come around her. Are you listening to me? He's growing up. And they are naturally attracted to one another. And in this natural attraction, there should be a natural watching. So you parents, there should be a natural watching among your children. It is unnatural for you to think that children who watch themselves. They ain't gonna watch themselves. You better watch them. I remember once a man said to his daughter, or was telling him, Daddy, or she asked him, rather, Daddy, don't you trust me? And he said, yes, baby, I trust you. It's nature I don't trust. But when nature get aroused, that's the thing I'm looking at. So I'm going to be there. So that when nature get fired up, I'll be there with the water to douse it out. But let me tell you, when nature is aroused up and there's no firemen around, and you out there singing, come on, light my fire. And when that fire is lit, and there's no fireman around, trouble is coming right behind you. I know y'all understand that, don't you? Huh? Now, brothers and sisters, I want you to know that this is a wonderful gift of God, sex. And it's a marvelous expression that God has given to us. And it's such a natural thing, people. And such a beautiful thing that has been so abused and misused. And mischief has been made with a wonderful thing. Now the Bible doesn't say we should not be passionate. God makes us with passion. But I believe you should restrain your passion except in the presence of your mate.
Right.
Huh? The Bible allows you to be passionate. David was, but he was passionate to the wrong person. And it was not his mate. Now, neither does the Bible allow us or advise us to be celibate. Y'all are very quiet tonight. I don't believe I ever read a scripture in there where God says you need to be, or he advised you to be celibate. It's against nature. All animals, birds, bees, insects, they ain't celibate. Why should you be celibate? I know y'all don't like this, but that's all right. It's against nature for any priest, any man to take a vow to say, I'm not going to marry. Now, dear Reverend, Father, priest, whoever you are, celibacy is something you put on yourself. That's not what God put on you. And I want you to know this. This is man-made. God did not ask no priest to take a vow not to be married. See, the vow, celibacy, means one bound by vows to remain unmarried. But it did not say bound by vows not to fool around or play around. So you have a lot of fooling around going on. You just can't marry. And you got a lot of homosexuality going on in the name of celibacy. Now, it's a wonderful thing to be a monk. Master of your sexual passion. That's great. But God don't require that. He requires you to master your passion because you don't even know what kind of man you are till you got a woman. you can't be tested by another man in a monastery. No, no. When two men have that kind of arrangement, brother, that ain't no test. That's something in the... That's something in the nature of a woman that makes her demand certain things in a man. And that's what her nature demands, is security. She's created in need. She has to be secured by us, men. That's our duty, brothers. There ain't no way we can talk about lesbianism or liberation without economics at the root of that liberation. We're free to go to the white man's toilet now, or go to the white man's hotel or motel. That's not liberation. If you're not liberated to the point where you have economic means by which to secure your wife and your family and your children, then you are not yet free. Do you understand that? Right. She has a need, as I said before. Now the woman's place is in her home. Now wait a minute now. I'm a career lady. But I believe God still ordained a woman to be in her own home. Yes. Now wait a minute, sisters, don't throw nothing at me now. Now, I am not coming against your career. If you got a career, good. Don't get all uptight at me and stick your lips out. Get wind all in your jaw. But any man that allows his woman to be spoiled has allowed his future to be destroyed. When you got a woman that's spoiled, man, you have allowed your future to be destroyed. What do you mean a spoiled woman? I'm on my way. Are you listening to me? Everything she says got to go, and if it don't, then she gonna put you on punishment. Y'all ain't listening to me. You have allowed your future to be destroyed, man. Sister, you make our future and the future of the world. Your people's future is in your hands. And when God says that the woman's place is in the home, men have misunderstood it, abused it. But go back in Granny's time. Remember Granny? Granny was happier than you. She didn't have a new car, and she didn't have a big fine home either. And Granny was just a simple woman, but she was happier than you. She canned her own food. She cooked her food. She took care of her family. And now, why was Granny so happy? Because Granny made herself necessary. Her husband, your granddaddy, he went into the field and worked from cane seed to cane seed. But Granny was home getting it ready for him. And when Granddad came home, Granny said, "Here it is." And when he washed his hands, he sat down. He didn't have no pop-up dinner for him. She went and made his dinner. Cooked it with a lot of love. Because that man was making her secure. She didn't tell him, "Not now, baby. Later." Have him in the middle of the night saying, "Baby, please." Everybody all right? I think James Brown had a song out called "Baby Please," didn't he? That's his theme song. And you notice in the word "please" is the word "ease." And so you can't say please till after you face the difficulty. And when you face the difficulty and overcome it, then you can say please, and the ease follow the please. And no arguments. You are worthy. The woman's nature is I can't hold back. God made made her that way, and she can't help herself. All we got to do is be what God asks and demand us to be. And she will be to us what he created her to be. And then the two relate well, and there is peace and joy among them. Are y'all still here? Amen. But now what happened here? Let's look at this thing called sex. Wish I had a safety pin. I'll drop it. It's very quiet. Now we have agreed that this is natural, right? And we have agreed, however, that this is a dangerous thing if not under control. People lose their lives over this. Isn't that right? It's a power that we can't even consider ourselves righteous unless we bring it under control. Now, children can't bring it under control. Therefore, you have what we call parental guidance and control. And that which will not obey you, that which will not be controlled by you. So obedience to parents is taught in the Bible as a means of giving the parent some measure of control over the child at this critical period as the sexual nature is being discovered. Are y'all still here? Amen. I'm trying to wait till some of you get settled here. I'm just about through. At this critical period, as the sexual nature is being discovered, and a desire comes up to want to understand more about that nature. Now, whenever a man like Jim Baker or anyone that in that category falls victim to sex, we say the man is weak. In fact, women measure your strength by how you act in the department of sex. He could be out there lifting 600 pounds of weight, but in her eyes, he's a weak man. And he's clinging to that lower desire. And this woman will try to see how strong you are. Huh? Many men have brought down Samson. He was strong. But Delilah, she brought him down through sex. Now, don't come around here talking how righteous you are, brother. How holy you are. Because she'll find out quick. Are you listening to me? So in this mad world where sex is glorified, here's a white man that has done exactly what the Bible says the devil would do. He comes in the strength or straight path of God's nature. Then he feeds that nature until the nature becomes so strong and your ability to control it is weak. That he can lead you and rule you through this power called sex. And most of us men are ruled by that power. Y'all ain't listening to me, man. And I want to close this thing out. Now, if you look at the prophets of God are standards of human conduct. Amen. That when God chooses a prophet, that man should be an example of righteous conduct. Amen. So where would you watch him the most? In his sexual conduct of the prophet. Now, if you read the Bible, in the Bible, Abraham is the friend of God. But Abraham had a woman called Sarah. And Sarah couldn't bear him any children. Sarah had a handmaid called Hagar by arrangement. Abraham goes into Hagar and has a child. Sarah is barren at that time. The Lord comes and tells Sarah, don't worry, you're going to have one too. But Hagar's child is first. Living in the same house together. Abraham, the friend of God, says to Hagar, you got to go. Put the woman out in the wilderness. because Sarah didn't like that thing. Now, if you were judging, that's why I say it is dangerous to judge. Here's a prophet of God, a standard of human conduct, righteous conduct. He puts the woman and her child out in the wilderness. She's out there running between hills, looking for bread. And Abraham's got bread on his table, and him and Sarah are eating the bread while Hagar is out in the wilderness, hungry. Now, if you were back judging in those days, what would you think about this friend of God? As a woman, you would say, I don't know if he's a friend of God. Or what kind of friend is he? He gonna put this woman out and her child. Now look, he's a prophet. Now when you expose that kind of a thing on a prophet of God, and he's the standard, what do the wicked do? They say, well, you know, that's one thing. I got a lot of women, but I take care of them. Now here's a prophet who put out a woman out of his house, and here is a man in sin. He said, well, look, I got a lot of women, but I take care of mine. Immediately, you come up with the justification for the wickedness that you're doing. You say, well, look, man, you know, that's a righteous man. He's a friend of God. And I ain't never told nobody I was a friend with God. I never met the dude, he said. But I take care of mine. So that cat ran the woman out in the wilderness. Oh, you listening to me? Say, I'm a better man than Abe. Now look at this. So the standard is knocked down because of something in the life of the standard bearer that the people don't understand. Here's righteous Lot. He's called righteous Lot, just Lot, meaning he's a righteous man. And God kills all of the homosexuals in Sodom and Gomorrah and turns his wife into a pillar of salt. And then the Bible said his daughters, fearing that all the men on the earth had been destroyed and their father Lot was old and had no seed, so they said in Genesis, the 19th chapter, the 32nd verse, come, let us make our father drunk or drink wine, and we will lie with him that we may preserve seed of our father. Lot now. Now here's a man today that has been going with his daughters. Lot. You're bringing your little daughters in the world, and when you go out, here's your husband playing with your daughter. And sometimes it's your own daughter. Even worse, if you as a woman got growing little girls and you marry some guy and you're not thinking of what kind of man he is, and you and him getting along fine, and you haven't brought him into the third part of the deal, and all of a sudden you get married and he's in the house with you and your children, and then all of a sudden you learn someday that the man is hitting on your little daughter. This is going on, isn't it? Every day. It's covered up, but it's going on every day. Now, you know when a man can lie down with his own child and don't feel nothing about it. How come you don't feel nothing? Well, you know the standard. Well, Lot was a righteous man, wasn't he? And then here this sinner said, I ain't no prophet. I'm just a hard-working dude. Now, if Lot could lay with his daughters, don't blame me. Because at least I ain't no prophet. I think I'm better than Lot. Are y'all following what I'm saying? So this brings a reproach. And when Jimmy Swaggart and Jim and Tammy Baker, all their sins came out, this was devastation to the church world. And it's still feeling the repercussion today. Man laying down with his daughter. Now, somebody said, well, he was drunk. He didn't know no better. Let's be realistic. Now, before you got saved, before you come to the knowledge of God, you drank. And some of you got drunk. And if you drink too much, you can forget. Are you listening to me? I said you can forget. So the man wasn't that drunk to not know he was with his daughters. Talking about that. He wasn't that drunk that he could have a child by his own daughters. He had to have some kind of feeling, because if you drunk, you know, feel the drunk, laid out, you can't do nothing. I'm being realistic now. I'm trying to break down some walls here, let you see some truth, because the truth will set you free if you want to be set free. Now, look else. What happened in the Bible? In Hosea, I'm finna let you go. I'm finna cut off. He was a prophet. And he was told to marry a harlot woman. In Hosea 1 and 2. And that's in the Bible. Now, how do you read this and have this powerful urge called sex drive and bring it under control when all the standards of decency have been hurled down in the book that's supposed to give guidance to spiritual and righteous conduct of the human being? And if these are the prophets and they fail, then what do you expect of the people? Some preachers go overboard, talking, you sinner, repent. And they go home and have wars and rumors of wars, earthquakes, and diamonds, play beating up on the wife and got a girlfriend on the side. See, this is hypocrisy that needs to be stopped. When you point a finger at someone else, you got three pointed back at you. Now here comes Saul. Poor Saul. I don't know how he had time to build a temple. Man got 700 wives and 300 concubines. He's busy. Y'all ain't listening to me. I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm not trying to tear down your faith. I'm just letting you know the truth. Here God allowed Solomon to have 700 wives and 300 concubines. And the man built a temple, and I don't know how he built it. All them women God committed him to have, but still yet it wasn't enough. God told him, look, don't fool with those strange women outside these women I've already given you. If you do, then they're going to turn your heart from serving me. But the man disobeyed and went on outside and started, fooling them strange women. And they turned his heart from serving God. Here he bowed down to their images, and their God made of stone, wood, and gold. Oh, you listen to me. Now here this man got 700 wives and 300 concubines, and if he had one of them a night, he wouldn't get around to them once every 3 years. This fella's busy. And you say, hey, I ain't as bad. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20. Every wicked thing we do, we justify. This is what I'm trying to get you to see. You can't do wrong without your conscience beating you up. None of us can do that, because the nature of us is right. And when you approach wrong, your nature warns you and says, look, this little voice comes up from within. Look, cool it, man, cool it. Don't you do that. and you say to the voice, shut up. I know what I'm doing. If you notice, the standard is upright. And whenever you see the sign of medicine, you see a snake weaving up around the standard. And that's a sign of medicine. What does it mean? See, the nature of you is right, and the nature of us is right. And whenever we are about to do wrong, out of the very nature in which we are created, actually God himself on the inside of us says to us in a still small voice, don't do that. But desire is strong. And desire is fed by your knowledge